Hello, this is Naren Smart Connect GSM mobile controller. So as the name suggests, this can be used for all types of motors as well as lighting loads. The purpose of using this device is to remotely control your motor starter or your lighting loads. So this device communicates to through the cellular network, that is GSM network. Any SIM card can be used apart from Jio because Jio operates purely on 4G. So any other SIM card like Airtel, BSNL, Vodafone, Idea, any of those can be used. So even though it is 4G SIM card, it still makes use of the 2G network to communicate. And all the messages will be sent via SMS. So this is purely an SMS based device which can be used to remotely control. So if this device is attached to your already existing motor starter, you can control the motor operations remotely by calling or sending an SMS to the SIM card installed in this device. Similarly, if you want to control the lighting load, the same device can be configured for the lighting load in order to control it remotely. So this device, as you can see, has two parts. The first one is the power supply part, which is called as adapter, and the second part is called as the main controller. So this is the controller and this is the power supply. So it has this wideband operating voltage, so it can be used for both three-phase as well as single-phase power supplies. It comes with CTs required. If it is a three-phase motor, it comes with 3 CTs, and if it is a single-phase load, it just comes with 1 CT. And again, if it is for a single-phase motor, we have the necessary contactor for the initiation of the starting capacitor while switching on, and it also has this antenna in order to communicate. And all the wiring will be done by us, so we will leave out wires for you like this, and just wires we will let you know how to make the connections, and based on the type of load you have, you can make the necessary connections. So we will now move on to all the features that this product has got. So we will go through it one by one. We will now move on to the operational aspect of this particular device. So when it comes to operation, this can be operated by 3 user phone numbers, meaning so a SIM card which can be installed inside this device can be controlled by 3 users. So for example, 3 users can be one might be the owner of the land, one might be the actual the worker or the employee who's working there, and the third one is an additional number. So basically this particular product accepts the command from the 3 registered numbers. So registration of numbers will be done via SMS. So we will be sending out the SMS patterns to do that. So yeah, 3 numbers can control this device. So next, this device offers 3 modes of operation. So when it comes to 3 modes are named as manual mode, auto start mode, and cyclic mode. We will go into each and every mode and understand what it is. The first thing is manual mode. So manual mode is a pretty basic mode. All the motor on and off operations will be done by the intervention of the user. So in manual mode, let us say as soon as the power supply is back, you will get the device will send a message to all the 3 registered numbers, letting you know the voltage is present, and it also gives out a message as to power is back and it is safe to turn on the motor based on the voltage levels, and it will also show out the mode. So if you want to turn on the motor, it can be turned on by any of these 3 users through a phone call to this number or via an SMS. SMS, again, it has a desired pattern which we will be sharing it with you. So based on those input commands from any of these 3 users, the motor switches on. So if you want to check the status as to whether the motor is on or off, you can always check via status SMS. Then again, motor off again has to be done via any of these 3 user phone numbers. Again, motor can be switched off via call or an SMS. So this is as per the manual mode is concerned. Again, manual mode has an auto off timer feature. Suppose you are switching it on manually via call. So manually, I mean, it's all remotely only, but you will have to physically give a call or send an SMS to switch on. So that is what is meant by manual mode. Yeah, when it comes to off timer, you can set the preset time. So whenever the time is up, the device will automatically shut off the motor, and it sends back a message to all these 3 numbers stating that the motor runtime has been completed, and because of that reason the motor has turned off. So this is the features of manual mode. And when we move on to the next mode, which is called as auto start mode. So it is the traditional auto start or auto switch concept used in the agricultural segment. So auto start, it works like this. So as soon as the power is back, the device will not send any message. The device will check for the voltages it will initiate the motor on, it will turn on the motor, and then it will check the feedback as to if the motor is on or not. Once it gets the confirmation that the motor is on, it sends a message to the user only after that, stating that the power was back and the voltages was in range, and hence the motor has been switched on. So all the auto start operation, after the completion of this operation, it will send out a message. So when the user has a look at the message, it gets to know that the motor has been turned on because of the auto start mode. Again, the off time feature which I had mentioned in the manual mode is still there in the auto start mode. So meaning you can set the auto off timer. So whenever the power is back, the device will automatically turn on the motor, and once the time is up, it automatically switches off the motor. So this is the features of auto start mode. So again, mode switching between manual and auto start can be done via SMS through any of these three numbers. There's a different pattern of SMS to be sent. Again, the third mode is called Cyclic Timer mode. Cyclic Timer is a pretty important concept, especially in the areas where the water is less in the borewells, or if the water requirement is less in the farms. So the cyclic timer basically has two parameters, on time and off time. On time is the running time of the motor, and off time is the waiting time of the motor. Let us say on time is set for 30 minutes and off time is set for 2 hours. So the operation would be like this: the motor runs for the set on time, that is 30 minutes, and once the on time is complete, the motor is turned off by the product, and the timer enters the waiting phase. So that is the off time. So off time is set to 2 hours. The controller will wait for 2 hours. After the 2 hours is complete, the motor will again be turned on for the next 30 minutes. So this cycle repeats one after the other, which is called as cyclic timer mode. So again, on time, off time, that parameter can be set by the user via SMS. No need of physical intervention. So it can be sent via SMS, and it can be changed anytime the user wishes to. Again, switching between these three modes is always possible via SMS. So whenever you want manual mode, you can switch the device to manual, and when you feel that the water requirement is more, you can switch to auto start mode. And cyclic timer, if necessary, you can always switch to that. So purchasing one of this device will allow all these three modes to be there, so that based on your usage, you can always switch between the modes. We will next move on to the next features, or what all types of starters the product is suitable for. So the next question would be where all these devices can be used. So I mean, what all types of starters when it comes to motor this device can be used. The good news is this particular device is configurable to all different types of starters. The first thing would be all types of three-phase motor starters. So the same device is suitable for all three-phase motor starters which are there presently. All we need is the type of starter you're using. So if you can just share us an image of the type of starter you're using, we can configure this product to your existing starter, and then we can ship it to you. So again, that is the good news. So three-phase, when I mean three-phase starters, it can be a digital starter or an analog starter, or the very old traditional starters. So any of these type of three-phase starters, this device is compatible for. And then the second would be all types of single phase starters. Again, the same thing applies to single phase starters as well. So all types of single phase borewell starters, open well submersible starters, monoblock starters, any type of three single phase starters, or for single phase motors, this device is suitable for. And the third one would be 2x3 starters. In some of the rural conditions, there are few starters which operate the three-phase motor in two-phase conditions. So in order to trigger those type of starters, we can configure this device. So again, for that we will need the type of the main starter, the type of 2x3 starter you're using, and we will configure this to that particular setup. So again, so this product is suitable for 2x3 starters also. So then we have two-phase starters. There are two-phase motors basically. So some of these starters are configured for two-phase applications. So again, this is suitable for two-phase starters also. The last one would be for lighting loads. There are few lighting loads which have to be controlled, especially in the horticulture setup or some of the other applications. And usually they will run in the cyclic timer concept. So yeah, that can be, this particular product can be configured for the lighting loads, but we will need the specification as to how many lights you're controlling and what are all the, power consumption of each light. So hence, for the array of lights, this device can be configured so that you can control all the lights using the regular SMS pattern. Okay, I hope I'm clear with the compatibility of this particular product to all different types of loads. We will now move on to the features of this particular product. The first one would be motor on and off via phone call or SMS. As I mentioned earlier, so you can always initiate the motor on via phone call to the SIM card placed inside this device. So motor on and motor off both can be done via SMS as well as a phone call. So if you are initiating via phone call, then the device recognizes the call from the registered number and it disconnects the call. Once the device disconnects the call, it performs the operation. It can be motor on or motor off. So once the operation is done, the device checks for the validation of that particular operation. And once the operation is confirmed, then only the device sends back an SMS, the confirmation SMS to the 3 numbers. Again, there are few conditions wherein the cellular network might not be great. So in that case, you can always make use of this SMS service to switch on and switch off the device also. Okay, so that's why we have given the provision of both call and SMS to a particular operation. Okay, then we have status messages. So this is a pretty important feature as to know if the motor is on or off at any particular point of time. So if you want to know, suppose let us say you have initiated motor on half an hour ago, and if you want to know if the motor is still running, so that is where the status message comes into picture. So there's a particular pattern to check the status. You can send that status message via any of the registered numbers, and the device responds back with the following parameters. It responds back with the voltages at the particular time, the motor condition, if the motor is on or off, then it also tells you the current drawn, then which mode the device is in and when the motor was turned on, and all these parameters. So, and if at all it is in runtime mode, how much time is pending or elapsed. Even if in the cyclic timer mode, you will get to know on time and off time and the current state it is in. All those status will be sent via status message. So if you send a query via status message, the device responds back with all those parameters. Then it has 3-phase voltages and current display on LCD. We have provided an LCD on the device just in case if you have forgotten the device and if you want to read the parameters on the display. We have also provided that feature here. So the display says which mode the device is in, motor if it is on or off, then it will read out the voltages in 3 lines and also current in the 3 lines. Okay, so that is the display on the LCD. Similarly, the same parameters, 3-phase voltages and current display on SMS. So the same parameters will be sent via SMS to you on every motor on and off operation. Okay, so the next feature would be reason for motor on and off via SMS. So every time when the device switches on the motor or switches off, the reason for turn off will turn on and turn off will be sent. If it is manual mode, it will also give out the reason as which number initiated the on or which number initiated the off operation. And if there is a status message, which number initiated the status, why this message was sent, and vice versa. So the reason for motor on and off is sent always via SMS, so that the users will be clear as to why the motor switched on or switched off. And next one would be initiated by info. Initiated by is which among the 3 registered numbers initiated the particular operation. So that will be easier to understand the SMS. And then it has timestamp record, which is again an important feature. Timestamp is whenever the SMS starts from the device records the server timestamp onto the message. So the reason for doing this is whenever the user receives the message, the user will get to know at what time the message was initiated by the controller. So in rare cases, or in some of the cases wherein the network strength is not that great, there are chances of messages or SMS getting delivered late. In that case, the user might get confused as to when the operation was done. But if the timestamp is recorded in the message itself, even though the delivery is late, the user will still get to know that the operation was executed at that particular point of time, but the message has been delivered late. Okay, that's a very important feature which we thought we should include. Then you have set motor runtime. So we had earlier mentioned about the motor runtime option which is there, the auto off option. So that runtime, so let us say you have set the timer for 2 hours and you would want to query after half an hour or 45 minutes as to how long the motor was running. So in the status message, the set runtime will be included, or we have a separate message pattern to check this also. So this will always give out the number of minutes and hours it's been executed since the motor is switched on. Okay. Then easy installation and setup. So as I mentioned earlier, we would be providing all the wires necessary to make the connections to the type of starter you have, and we would also be assisting you in the connections via phone call or a video call. So the installation would be very hassle free for you. It will be pretty straightforward and simple. It's just like installing any other product and nothing complicated in this particular product. Very simple to use. Then so this device is available as a bundle with the starters. As you know, Naren Electrics has many starters also in place. So if you are planning to buy the starter along with this GSM controller, we can give you a range of starters. We can give you options as to different types of starters, and which starter you choose, we can configure this particular product to the starter you choose. So since we have different types of starters for single phase and three phase motors, so whatever starter you choose, or if you are already using Naren starter, we can always configure this for you. So basically this can be sent out as a bundle to you with all the wiring done previously from us. We will now move on to the motor safety features this particular device has to offer. So as mentioned earlier, this comes with the 3 CTs. You have 3 CTs which was along with the product package. So the first one would be overload protection. So overload is a common phenomena. So we should not allow the motor to run if the motor is drawing excess load. Usually this happens when there is silt present in the borewell, or if there is low voltage conditions, or many other cases like this. In any of these cases, we should not allow the motor to run in the overloading condition. So for that, we will give a preset. The overload current can be set via SMS inside the device, and once the parameter is set, the device will not allow the motor to run for more time in the overloading condition. So as soon as the controller detects the motor running in excess current or the overload condition, it turns off the motor and it gives out the reason for switch off on the SMS. Then it has this dry run protection. All the submersible motors, as you are aware, should have this dry run protection. The reason being, since the submersible motors are water cooled, if the motor runs without the presence of water, then the coils will get burned. In order to avoid that condition, we sense the dry run through the current readings. Usually the pattern is such that when the motor runs dry, the current drawn by the motor would be lesser than the usual current drawn. So we will sense that low current value and turn off the motor based on the load. So that dry run or low current value can be set by the user via SMS, and whenever the controller detects the low current condition, it switches off the motor in a specific amount of time, and it sends out a reason via SMS as to why the motor was switched off. Then it has the single phase protection. Single phase meaning it can be the cut in one of the motor cables or in one of the supply phases which are absent. So the single phasing is a common threat for the three phase motors. So whenever the supply phase is cut or one of the motor cables is opened at the joints, the device senses that via current as well as the incoming supply voltage, and it turns off the motor immediately. And the reason again will be sent via SMS. Then it offers over voltage protection. So if the voltage shoots up for more than the operating voltage, even then the device will switch off the motor if it is running, or the motor initiation would not be if you send the motor on command while the voltage is more, the device will not initiate the motor on, and it gives out the reason as to the voltages are high. Similarly, under voltage protection. So if the voltages are low also, the motor would tend to draw more current. Even then it is not safe to turn on the motor. So even then the motor will not be switched on. Or if the motor is running, it will be turned off. And then we have a dry run restart timer option. So what is this dry run restart? In many of the cases, the motor might tend to run dry and the controller switches off. So once the motor turns off due to dry run, so there is a particular amount of recharge time which can be set on the device. So let us say whenever the motor turns off due to dry run, I want the motor to turn on again after 2 hours or 3 hours. So in that cases, you can always set the restart time. So as soon as the motor switches off due to dry run, the timer starts, and when the time is up, the motor again switches on. So while the dry run restart timer is on, sending the status message to the device responds back with the dry run time. So that is the set dry run restart time and also the elapsed dry run restart time. So all the parameters which are required to operate remotely are all covered in this particular product. And since this product brings in so many protection features, it's pretty handy to use this device. So all types of current protection as well as voltage protection is taken care of. So we will now move on to the final phase of this video. The last is the applications part. So where all this particular device can be used. The first one would be agricultural motors. So as I was giving the example of the agricultural motors in all these slides, so the main application would be for the agricultural domain. So many of the cases, there will be a chunk of land which is hard to manage because of the labor shortage. The owners or the people managing the farm would be outside or in a much larger distance from the farm, and they would wish to control the motor remotely. So agriculture applications are one of the main scenarios here. And then plantations and estates. So there are cases of bigger plot of land like plantations and estates, wherein even though you're inside the property, it will be impossible to move on from one end of the property to the other end just for turning on and off the motor. And controlling from one part of the land is always advisable there. Then you have plant nurseries. Again, nurseries are a large chunk of land wherein you will have to control the devices, the motors remotely, or even lighting loads there. Poultry farms, again, can be used. This device can be used for misting applications in poultry farms in order to regulate the temperature. Horticulture, again, misting applications will be there, and even greenhouse applications will be there, so it can be used. This particular device can be used in cyclic timer modes there. Aquaculture, again, is very sensitive. There will be a lot of oxygenators which need to be up one after the other, so controlling them would be a task. So even if the manager is outside, they can still turn on and off the oxygenators there. Then you have fountain applications, which again, many fountains which have to be controlled remotely, that can be used here. And lighting applications, so street light applications or horticultural lighting applications, or any other community lighting applications wherein you would remotely want to control the motor on and off, you can use this device for that application. And these are all the applications which we could think of. There are many applications wherein this particular product would be required. One of them would be water supply boards and so on, even the parks wherein you will have to turn on and off the motors or lights. So for all these sort of applications, this particular product is suitable. Again, this product is designed keeping in mind a variety of applications. So this product is now available on our website, or if you want this product, you can also give us a call. Our contact number would be 9972243774. I repeat, it's 9972243774. You can also browse our website for our contact details or to order this product. And please don't worry about the setup. The product is very simple, very easy to set up, and we would be assisting you step by step in doing the connections. I hope this video was helpful. Please reach us out if you have any queries. Thank you so much for watching this video.